Hi everyone. So this is another S3 Human Sciences recording. For today, we move on to a new topic, which is farming, in particular farming in the Mediterranean region. As you can see in the pictures here, this is the Mediterranean region. You can see that on the map. And of course, it's an entire region, so there are different um, slightly different weather conditions in different places. There are also different crops, products that are produced in these different areas, as well as different animals that are bred. Okay, so you have farms all over the place, and these farms produce different things. But at the same time, there are particular products that are typical and typical of the Mediterranean region, and we'll talk about them in a while. Now, in this recording, we have to do something more theoretical and talk about what farming is. You've probably learned about this or a little bit about it in ST Human Sciences when you talked about the invention of agriculture, ancient civilizations. I mean, civilizations that are older than Greece and Rome. But farming is very important. We don't think about it. Probably in most modern societies, only 1% of the population is busy with farming, but it's an important human invention, and we definitely rely on it for our daily life. So, what is farming? Farming or agriculture is the growing of crops, so things that you can eat, and the raising of animals. There are three main types or sorts of farming. Arable farming, that refers to the land. Pastoral farming, that refers mainly to animals and their dependence on the land. And mixed farming, as you can see from the name, that's a combination of the first two. Arable farming, so that's the plowing of land and the growing of crops. Plowing meaning you turn up, you prepare the land uh, uh, for you to be able to plant, to sow seeds, and then to cultivate your crop, your plants, for instance. And then eventually you grow them and then you harvest them. Pastoral means you allow grass to grow in a particular area so that you can feed your animals. So it's also possible that you grow certain crops. So, for instance, turnip, in order to feed your animals, also called livestock. Mixed farming, like we said, uh, you have mixed farming when you have a combination of animals and crops and plants, okay, in the same farm. So, like I said, in the Mediterranean region, actually, agriculture is diverse. That means that there are different types of farms and farming methods. Um, but agriculture is not only diverse but specialized, meaning agriculture in the Mediterranean produces certain types of products. Also, it's we should note that Mediterranean agriculture is distinguished by a combination of raising of cereals. What are cereals? So that's things like wheat, barley, rice. Okay, so a combination of cereals, vegetables, fruits, and livestock. Particular animals. For instance, sheep. Sheep is quite typical of the Mediterranean region. Now, we can also talk about farming or different types of farming depending on, you can say, the motivation or the purpose of, you know, the farm. So for instance, you have subsistence farming or subsistence agriculture. That means that somebody produces just enough in order for them to survive, okay, to feed their family. In contrast to that, you can have commercial farming, meaning this is for the sake of doing business. You cultivate your products, your crops, or you raise your animals in order to sell them for a profit. Okay. And of course, these two things, by the way, they can exist side by side. You can imagine that you will have parts of a country where you would have small farmers doing subsistence agriculture, and then you would have more commercial farming, and behind them are, wealthier, bigger companies, bigger farmers. Now, what are the things, the factors that influence farming? So there are two basic uh, two basic types of factors. So you have the physical ones and then you have the human ones. Here you have the physical factors. So for instance, climate. So for instance, how much rain do you get in a particular area? How long is the summer? Okay. Secondly, relief, meaning where is the farm situated? Is it up on the mountain or is it in a valley? So because that could determine how much water you get. So for instance, if you are up in the mountains, then you would have access to some grassland, for instance, more moisture, more precipitation. Okay, and then the type of soil that you have in the area. Okay, what are the local soil conditions? Is the soil arable? Can it be used for farming? Is it fertile? Does it need a lot of water? Is it good for this particular crop? Or is it only good for, raising animals? On the other hand, you have the human factors. Okay? So first we had the physical factors. So these are natural factors. And then you have, factors, causes, for instance, that relate to human beings. So for instance, how much land do you own? How much land does the farmer have? Does the farmer have access to technology, or does the farmer need to rely on old-fashioned methods and machinery? Or does the farmer have, you know, access to more advanced ones? Okay. Is there transportation? Is it easy for the farmer to move his animals or his products? Are markets available? And do these markets want the products produced by the farmer? Okay. So, like we said before, commercial and subsistent farming, they can exist side by side. Commercial farming usually, this happens in an organized way and in areas that are near cities. Okay, so near the densely populated urban markets. On the other hand, subsistent farming happens more in rural areas. So in the countryside, we're talking about smaller farmers who don't necessarily have to produce a lot because their motivation is simply to survive, to keep on going, and not necessarily to generate a lot of profit. Okay? So I hope that's clear. And in the next recording, we're going to talk about, the products that are typical in the Mediterranean region.